Hello everyone, my name is Zoe Cavada, and this is a little bit about me. I'm a third year teacher. I graduated college in 2018. I'm a high school chemistry teacher up at Glens Falls, and I've lived in Saratoga my entire life. I am hopeful I get to be the girls modified lacrosse coach in my school district this season. Last year was supposed to be my first season, and that obviously didn't happen, so I'm optimistic about this year. A little bit about my students and my school year, especially this year. I usually have sophomores, juniors, and seniors. If students are advanced in science and math, then I have them as sophomores. My general population is juniors, and then I do have a few seniors. I teach Regents Chemistry and AP Chemistry. I am the only chemistry teacher in my district. We actually just recently switched to block scheduling, so for 80-minute periods in a day instead of previous years, we had 9 40-minute periods. We did this due to the pandemic to have less transition times between classes. So instead of meeting with my students every day like I did last year, I meet with my students 3 out of the 4-day rotation for 80 minutes. We currently have a hybrid schedule, so there are students present in the building every day. It just rotates what students are there. Students are assigned to cohorts based on their last names. They are in for 2 days, and then they're virtually learning for 2 days. My school decided to do all synchronous learning, so when a student is in the classroom and or at home, they're learning from me in real time, so there are no asynchronous assignments. We just recently had to go totally virtual while the teachers were still at school, so I had to teach my students all online. However, on Monday, we are going back to the hybrid learning. This has definitely changed the way in which I present my materials. I'm a very collaborative, problem-based kind of educator, and having to go into this hybrid learning, I've definitely had some difficulties and challenges to overcome with having to follow the safety protocols and then having to juggle students in class and online at the same time. And some of my students are 100% virtual, so making sure they can get that lab experience in while being at home. So with that being said, some of the technologies I've started to use this year, some I've used in the past and then some new to me this year. One, I use Google Suites. All of those tools, our school is a Google school, and all of my students have their own Chromebooks, so that has made this whole switch to virtual and hybrid learning much easier. So we use Google Meets, and I take full advantage of the Google breakout rooms in Google Meets to allow my students to still collaborate and work together on material. Another feature I've started to use more, but I have used in the past, is Castle Learning. That is a tool where it provides teachers with previous Regents questions. So I typically, in the past, would have given students paper copies of exams, and now instead I'm using Castle Learning to get them ready and be able to, still working towards if there is a Regents, obviously specifically to my Regents class, not my AP class, but if there is a Regents, they still need to be ready and working on questions that pertain to the Regents. So I use Castle Learning now. Another tool that I'm using more and more is Edpuzzle. I'm making videos for my students and, inserting questions throughout the videos for them to check their learning. I use that to actually present material sometimes. I use it for my students who are absent, and I also use that as a tool for my students to use for review. I'm using Quizlet Live a lot for my students in person and my students at home to kind of get to play around and work together still to make that connection. And then the new tools I'm using this year are Nearpod. I had never used before. I think it is even new just for this year. It's a great way to present material to students, and you can input questions, videos, games throughout your presentation to check student understanding, since we can't obviously see their faces when they're at home. And then the absolute lifesaver is Kami, that I have been using to present notes. I've been using it if I don't use Castle Learning for an exam or a quiz. I use Kami, where students can write directly on the document it saves. I can make comments back to them, and it works really nice with Google Suite. So that's been a total lifesaver for me. As for this class and our project, I'm still kind of working through what I would like to do. I've taken a few Mallet classes so far, so I'm trying to decide whether I want to work and continue on a project I've already started in a previous class, or if I want to start fresh and pick a different unit that I have yet to work on. So I will be working on that for our discussion board, and I look forward to working with all of you this semester.